And as the drama is now technically settled from race 1, race 2 commences a new batch of angry touring car racing. Uh, Salo was P10, so reverse grid rules. He's on the front row of the grid, on pole, on something we didn't really emphasise because you're not there for that long at the start of the race. This is the only time it's a double wide grid, no stagger, honouring the Bathurst tradition of the 1,000 kilometres, really. That and obviously looks a lot nicer for what is effectively still a road layout. It's still public road, and they don't want to put too much paint down to confuse the locals, but that's by the by. Lama's P9, so front row for him. And if you've taken a closer inspection, you can see the Renaults are on row 5. So it's as if the race results are based on the decision after this weekend. So Aiello is still P10, Gasho still P9 for the start of this race. And the victim of the incident that Aiello had caused is obviously okay. He managed to get into the points eventually, but Michael Swinnerton alongside me, you can probably give me a better idea of how his state was after the race there.
Yeah, absolutely. Went and spoke to him. He originally thought it was his fault. Bless him. He thought
Well
he'd come
then,
across Aiello's front bumper, and then when the team showed him the footage afterwards, yeah, there was some language that's definitely not broadcastable after that.
and that might explain why the decision has got some sort of overhang on there, which is why we're still waiting, because it's not that clean cut after all. The replay kind of gave us that idea, but here we go again. But Wittmann, row 2 already, rear wheel drive, you knew what was going to happen. Into the lead she goes. Salo and Lammers still in formation, but now one place down. Webber with another good start, rear wheel drive of course. Same for Sophia Schneider, but here comes the Volkswagen Power for a change. Suarez down the inside of Lammers for the Quarry Bend coming up as the sun starts to set around the mountain.
Yeah, this is exactly
Race
what
2 begins
Suarez
in
did in
anger.
race 1. He got a good run out of Hell Corner and managed to make up a couple of spots down the straight. Now he's going to have to play defensive and be looking in his rearview mirrors, just like he did in race 1.
And there's the traffic. We kind of expected it for race 1. Here's the two BMW side by side up the hill. And already the Renaults have swamped the Ekstrom Volvo.
Yeah,
Awesome
Renault's wasting
shots of the sun.
no time. Once again going around the outside of people over the top of the mountain, because it worked last time. Therefore it'll work again.
Just not on Conrad straight. Ooh, too soon. Okay. So Wittmann leads Salo, Suarez. Two Renault 7th and 8th, but not for long by the looks of it, especially if those two BMWs are going to throw the white flag on that. But hello, there's Ekstrom again. Okay. Some dive bombs, some unexpected movements throughout one of the narrowest, trickiest parts of the track, if not the trickiest. Here's another one, mind. Forest Elbow. Expecting some more moves to be done down this bit of the track. Gasho back down to 10th. There's Palou. Conrad. High-speed traffic jam.
Yeah, it's weird. The Renaults have really good traction grip in certain corners, and then we get to the dipper and they just seem to stop on the apex, allowing people to go around the outside of them there. We saw it a little bit in race 1. We just saw more of it then this lap. The one chink in their armour, it seems.
Gasho almost inhaling the exhaust fumes from Thompson's car there through the chase, but down the inside goes Aiello, up to 6th, Webber down to 7th, and those lights will be full beam perhaps by the end of this race.
Aiello's wasting no time moving from 10th on the grid to try and get back up towards the front. And we saw them do it at Interlagos, go from mid-pack grid slots all the way to first and second. No reason why
And
they can't do
already-
it again this race, as he already gets his way past Lammers without even breaking a sweat, making it, quite literally making it look easy.
And despite the first lap being a standing start, 4 seconds off of Wittmann's best, that's going to be up there for fastest lap points, surely.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Once they've got some, some clean air and they're not having to deal with traffic over the top of the mountain. I mean, we saw Gasho's fastest lap time from last race was, ridiculously fast compared to everyone else, and basically qualifying pace.
If I was going to make a move, it might be down here.
Has a look. A little bit too far back to make it stick this time, and then, yeah, it comes to a dead stop on the dipper again.
A trickle, a very cautious trickle at that point. I mean, with good reason, there is a wall there, but that was a bit too slow, all things considered. Top 3 still the same, but Schneider and indeed Ayalo are going to give us some answers to that, no doubt, but I wonder if that Volkswagen Power is going to be at it again. Yep, starting to stretch away from the BMW. Down Conrad.
It'll save him a little bit down Conrad on the other main straight here, but I think Schneider is going to make up too much ground in the braking zone for the chase here. Oh, and Aiello, where did you come from? One hell of a late move, and it made it stick.
If that's going to be too much heat in the tyres, would Schneider end up... No, Schneider's bailed out by the looks of it there.
Suarez going for second.
Suarez and Palou are side by side, but I think Aiello's going to get them before...
Oh, are we going to go three wide into Hell Corner? Are we going to do this, lads? Not quite.
Maybe not.
Oh, Salo.
And there goes Salo with the wobble on. That's early.
Well, there goes his
cold
podium.
Temperatures, as it's the sun setting, the colder temperatures perhaps. Aiello into the top 3.
And it's only lap 3.
Exactly. I would say, I think that the message he's trying to send is about what happened in race 1, and if he can do this as cleanly as he should have done in race 1, then that'll shut people up, no doubt, including myself. The car's good, but incidents like that don't help. It's possible he could have done it well. It's just that circumstance in race 1 is going to be a bad smell for the rest of the weekend, no doubt.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like, well, it's happened. You can't go back and change the past. You've just got to get on with the job now. So, I think Renault and Aiello here will be obviously looking to win, make that statement of like, yes, this is possible. And there he goes past Suarez, once again.
But remember, is he going to crawl? Yes, he is. And there goes Suarez. Okay, maybe not.
Suarez spun it there.
And a good shot for that move. That was almost on, if not for Suarez's apprehensions on the exit of the dipper.
Wittmann, run. Run away.
I think all the running in the world, all the Italian legs, all the Italian horsepower in the world will not stop this machine from doing what it should have done in race 1 properly, and I think hats off to them if they can get this done.
He's already having a go.
There we go.
Slight hip check, but he now has the lead.
That
wasting 0 time. And if race 1 result stands, then he will be the first driver to make that record of 2 race wins in 1 weekend and do the double.
Yes, in world terms, yes. I think, if I remember correctly, it has happened in the Euros.
I think Kubica got close, but I don't recall it happening in the Euros.
Should have had a records with us. Salo down to 5th. Gasho is going to eat that position for breakfast tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's definitely has a feeling of when rather than if, and that when seems to be right now up the inside at Griffin's. Clean.
The past tense of when.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear, I've gone all cross-eyed. Schneider and Suarez with their battle then. That's going to rage on, even if Gash is going to get past both of them by the end of the race. That seems inevitable. So the questions are going to have to occur now, because these Renaults are, are perhaps performing too well, but it's still early doors. It's early days. I'm sure the other teams will get their act together.
Oh, I'm confident in that. Everyone will go away from this weekend and have a serious think on their cars, and a lot of them will know where the issues lie and will be working to fix that. Whereas Renault have just ticked all the boxes straight away, it seems, this time round. So Renault's job now will be, assuming the other teams do catch up, is going to be what can they do to improve it further? What can they do to maintain this lead and this gap they've got to everybody else?
And it
Schneider.
feels just to spread out somehow. Obviously, the gap isn't there, but it just feels slightly subdued. There are battles.
Like this right here. Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, I think the lack of a yellow flag on one of the fastest points of the track has certainly had an effect here, because obviously everyone has managed to get themselves in their own little groupings rather than one big train headed by a Golf.
Speaking of big trains, here's the 1-2. Well, the Volvo's running in tandem rather, not the 1-2. But obviously a good weekend for them, all things considered. They've set out what exactly they wanted to do. It's not really trial and error. They are doing. They're putting inwards into other manufacturers' efforts by being in this position, and hats off to them for doing it. And around here, Volvo do have some level of pedigree from the endurance races here back in the 80s, and one of the lesser known super touring 1,000 kilometers of way back when as well.
Yes, that was. Yes, I know the car you're talking about there.
Super touring indeed. Alpha have been around here in Group 8 times as well. I think there was a privateer super touring back in the 90s too. Ford, as we well know, do have pedigree for other drivetrains, as do BMW. So they're all used to places like this.
I think out of everybody here, the only people that are going to have a relative lack of data compared to everybody else would be Renault and or Volkswagen.
Yeah. And they don't, well, if data is necessary, then that's going to make it even more of a volatile domination of this race weekend. Renault have, got this in the bag, and I try my best not to say it this season, but something really stupid would have to happen if they capitulate now, as we encroach on the halfway mark of race 2.
Absolutely.
Schneider down the inside of Wittmann. Move is almost on.
Too wide through
Friendly
the chase. Gap. Schneider is still there. She's going to have the preferred line into Murray's.
And the mist is settling in again, but of course, still going to be dry. And there goes Schneider into 4th. One of the most polite overtakes of the season so far.
Well, those two are good friends off the track, being, of the same nation and the only 2 women in the championship. They have sort of gravitated to one another.
And now for Schneider to get into Suarez's podium position.
Yeah, Suarez doing well in this Golf, considering how Volkswagen have had their struggles since being forced to move from Sirocco to Golf. And yeah, they did get a couple of race wins last year, namely at the Red Bull Ring. And this is one of the tracks where you'd think the Golf would do well, because it does favour the straight line speed and the horsepower. So this will be a good
And it's
boon to his confidence at the very least, the fact that he can run in the top 5, even if he is looking in his rearview mirror more than he would like.
so the crowd not casting a shadow on the hoardings from our camera shots here. Sun very much out of sight now as the track begins to cool. The spread in the mid-pack not as bad as I expected there. Goes Schneider down the inside of Suarez.
She's copying the Renault line, but she can hold the momentum through the dipper. They
Oh,
both
can
have
she?
a little wiggle.
Thankfully, Suarez had that wobble on as well, but not enough for Wittmann to capitalise on that.
Although Whitman has now seen how it can be done, so in theory she can try and replicate that next lap if she has the momentum at the right point.
I think the momentum, however, the Volkswagen power is not going to be a problem in defending for 4th position. Decent battle drawn behind this lot though, Salo, Ingram and Webber.
Yeah, Ingram has made his way up to 7th. Not sure where Ekstrom's gone because he was in this mix.
Continuation from the comeback. Oh, hello. Now who's being dirty driver?
Wow.
Okay.
One assumes that wasn't deliberate, but it has opened the door for Ingram to get past and makes it stick.
And then Webber down the inside. That's a scrape.
Yeah.
And that's a 7th for Webber.
Salo has just been bullied out of several positions after having the pole position for this race, already down to 8th. He is going to be rather annoyed by the end of this one, I feel. Ford just not quite having what they need to do well this race.
Further back, Ekstrom just got ahead of Thompson for 10th, and that traffic jam is it's a traffic jam.
That is a traffic jam, yes.
And one of the quieter episodes in Fisichella's career, and a rare sight of him having to fend off privateer cars.
Yeah, he was outside the top 10 race 1, finished 14th where he is now, so this is not going to be a good points haul for the Italian, especially if he wants to try and have another run at the championship like he did last year. Being down here is not going to do you any favours. In theory, he should be able to get past Wirtz in front, but Bianchi's looking on his back bumper. Bianchi looking to the outside.
The best privateer in race 1, but obviously there's a different one of the privateers further ahead, and that I think that is Wickens. No, Wickens further back.
No, Bianchi is the top privateer in 15th. He's got the single points paying position. Although this is an interesting little battle here, of course, because these two are the two graduates from the European Series this year. So these two will have their own little rivalry of not necessarily who's the best rookie, because Ekstrom is involved in that fight, but at the very least, who is the best out of the Euro drivers who have moved up to the World Series. At the moment, it is advantage Bianchi, despite Kubica's massively huge performance in the Euros last year.
And Dumas surprisingly last, but given the perspective on the Alphas this weekend, who can blame him? But Kobayashi is about to lose.
I think they just missed the setup on the car this time round. Same with the Tamir cars.
Surprisingly quiet for them too. Okay, back to the best of the rest battle, whilst the Renaults romp away.
And Schneider is now in a clear 3rd place. And meanwhile, Ingram, having gotten past Salo, is catching Suarez and Whitman. So he may be able to salvage something out of this race weekend at the very least.
Yeah. I'm sure that was a points finish for race 1 despite the accident, and best of luck getting the final podium position that was technically, I think, that should have been the fight he had in race 1. But maybe the likes of Suarez and Schneider are too far ahead to allow that to happen. There's Wittmann, there's Suarez.
Suarez, I think, is potentially catchable. Depends on how much Wittmann puts up a fight here.
Wittmann was definitely catchable, and here's a move for the dipper coming up.
Ingram just had to get on the brakes there just to make sure. Ooh, little tap. I'm sure that was deliberate, but that front bumper is looking a bit dirty now on that Volvo.
Is the move on for the cut for the elbow? No, too far back. On board.
No, but Ingram now will want to get a good run, a good exit, which he hasn't really done. He can't really do anything into the chase this time by, unfortunately. But that has allowed Wittmann some breathing room, which means she might be able to have a go at the Golf in front. Although again, a little bit too far back, but we know how bad that Golf is on its brakes.
Will it get a wobble on? Will it be in a bad position to defend for Murray's corner?
Wittmann definitely closed the gap there under the braking, as did Ingram. So this is about to become a 3-car grouping for third place here, for fourth place, sorry. Now, if Wittmann's smart, she won't actually defend from Ingram and make a point to try and focus on the Golf in front. And if Ingram's smart, he won't be too aggressive in trying to make an overtaking manoeuvre and will want to just follow the Alpha through before having that fight.
So despite the brightness of the cameras, it is most definitely night time. If I look out the window now, all I can see is the floodlights around the crowd and a black sky above.
Yeah, it's definitely dusk. Running this race at the opposite end of the day to the Bathurst 12-hour. Though track temperature will be about the same. Wittmann having a little look on the Golf. Don't know if she's going to make that all out round the outside move stick. Although there goes Ingram.
There you go. That's made up for a sour weekend.
And
that move
right
2 for
there.
1 deal. And this one, are you kidding me?
2 for 1 deal. Wasting no time. And there goes Wittmann following the Volvo through. So, what I predicted, just the other way around in cars. Suarez back to 6th.
And keeping the crowd thoroughly entertained.
I feel that was inevitable. But yes.
So once Renault have gone, obviously it's the view here that's more interesting. And all of a sudden, Ingram
I might be about to
eat
eat my words. I said Schneider was not going to be catchable.
Yeah. Not meant to take sides here. Obviously, Swinny is Ingram's manager here. I'd expect you not to have said that during the commentary feed. You had your doubts about him catching. I have more faith in you, boy.
I have faith. I also have an understanding of the reality of the situation of what's going on track, and I thought Schneider was too far in front. Evidently, I am wrong. Although that's not the first time we've seen that with these BMWs. They build out a gap to the car behind them, and then they just sort of trail off and get themselves caught up, because that happened to Webber at Interlagos.
It certainly did. Lap and a half to go, all things considered. Those Renaults may as well be getting the job done now. Come on, hurry up, get on with it.
Yeah, it's the Renault class and then the everybody else class.
Suarez down to 6th after all that, but enough of a gap behind not to worry about Webber in 7th and Salo in 8th. Salo has managed to pad the rest of the race out, not fall further back, but there is that traffic jam to consider. You might want to look at that by the end of the race. Here's the onboard from Ingram though. Maybe not.
It'll be interesting to see if Ingram can get, because he is He's not necessarily within striking distance, but if he gets that run around the outside here, oh, right on the back of Schneider. Didn't quite have room to make it stick. Has a look at the outside of McPhillamy again. Interesting choice. Just because it worked once doesn't mean it's going to work again.
Or is it?
On the outside of the dipper, another interesting
Maybe
choice.
not.
Although he's just going where the BMW isn't at the minute, just to try and unsettle it.
I think Schneider got wise, and perhaps the message got sent that Ingram's on a flyer, protect the outside through that turn, and of course that was reciprocated, and BMW still live to fight another lap.
Yeah, she just needs to do that again for one more lap, and then she'll have third place secured, because I don't see Ingram. I mean, obviously we know the Volvo has still got its own issues when it comes to heavy braking zones. That hasn't. They've made some inroads into fixing that from Interlagos, but it's not a fully fixed issue from what I've heard. So it's not like he'll be able to do much through the chase here.
No wobble on there, for instance. Still a bit of a gap. And the Reynolds across the start-finish line. 1 to go. Here's Salo and Ekstrom, Swinney's boy Ingram's teammate. Down the inside, up to 8th as you like it. Oh,
Maybe.
well defended
Depends
from
on who
Salo.
gets the run out of here. Salo able to unwind the wheel quicker, therefore got that little bit of momentum he needs just to keep the position for now. I don't think Ekstrom's quite done with this fight though. But if Ekstrom's not careful, Salo's teammate right there.
What a spectacle for the fans on the final lap. For the crumbs, for the minor points paying positions. Thompson and Lammers, that's a surprise. I mean, they had a good, decent race 1, but this was a very subdued race 2, especially if Fisichella's in the fray there with them. We're expecting Honda to be, up there this year, all the effort in the world, but obviously the other manufacturers have put their effort in as well.
Yeah, I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but them allowing the Team Tamiya team to have a new FL5 Civic may have just spread their resources out just a little bit too thinly for them to focus on their works effort. I might be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong on that one.
We'll see them do well in the Japanese Championship with their works outfit there.
Well, there's another thinning of resources and spreading themselves thinly. Example, the Japanese effort as well.
And still managing to outplay the Toyota team in that regard, but that's a different championship. As the final lap turns come into play, as Ingram got the resources to get down the inside of Schneider, not at the chase,
quite.
but one more braking area to go. Boos ring out from the crowd about Renault because they still think that Ayala shouldn't be there for race 2, but that's their prerogative, that's their opinion. It's a fantastic run for them, but I thought Ingram was going to get it on the line, but it was still Schneider. Fantastic effort nonetheless, and a good comeback from a bad result in race 1 that not necessarily his fault. Wittmann 5th, and the rest across the line was Suarez 6th. Salo still managing to get 8th after a poor start. Ekstrom 9th and Palou 10th. Here come the rest of them. And then Bianchi, yeah, that's one of the rare occurrences where the privateers have been just, right at the back throughout. Some would say that's where they need to be because they're privateers, but it would be nice to have another one sort of chucked into the mix in the top 15 every once in a while. But that's the first time that only one privateer is going to get a point in that particular race. So, as we see replay shots from the evening before the sun came down, well, it was all right in the end. I mean, it's just there's still a sour note that we have to just wait upon and just get our affairs in order for Croatia then, and hopefully the right decision has been made. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. It's interesting. So Ingram, minor redemption with that fourth place at the end there. Interesting also that it was Kubica that got the final point out of the privateers there. There was a bit of a drag race to the line. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. The ball is now in the court of the stewards, and they will now get to work. As I say, they've got access to a lot more camera angles. They'll have access to the team's telemetry. They'll be able to see the throttle and brake and steering inputs of both cars. They'll have a lot. They'll be able to make a much more informed decision than what we saw briefly.
And all we can do is wait. All we can do is travel back to our respective homes. Uh, we'll be poring over this behind the scenes as to the what ifs and what's going to happen, who's going to actually get the win, who's actually going to get the points further down, and what sort of marker that's going to be, and what sort of impact that's going to have on the outcome of the championship by the time we end up in Japan for the final round. So for the time being, it's on behalf of Michael Swinnerton, Adrian Michael Reese. It's been eventful. It's been emotional. Good racing, everyone.